Namaste to one and all. We have gathered here to pay homage to a giant who was a giant of justice, our beloved Swami Agnivesh. I want to begin with the shloka from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse 5. Antakale cha mam eva smaran muktva kalevaram yaha prayati samadbhavam yati nastya atra samshayaha. And whoever at the time of death, leaving the body, goes forth remembering me alone, he attains my being. There is no doubt about this. Namaste and a very warm welcome to one and all of you this morning. I want to at the outset thank you for giving up your time this morning to be with us, to pay homage to the greatest person I have known in my lifetime, and who is now, as the verse said, who is now with his Creator. We will begin this morning's program by reciting Om 3 times, followed by the Gayatri Mantra and the Ishwarupasana. Please, let's all recite together. Om. 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 Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Ishwarupasana. Om Vishwani Deva Savitar Duritani Parasuva Yat Bhadrantanna Asuva. Om Hiranyagarbha Samavartatagre Bhutasya Jataha Patir Eka Asit Sadadhara Prithivim Dyam Uttemam Kasmai Devaya Havisha Vidhema. Om Ya Atmada Baladayasya Vishwa Upasate Prashisham Yasya Devaha Yasya Chaya Amritam Yasya Mrityuhu Kasmai Devaya Havisha Vidhema. Om यः प्राणतो निमिषतो महित्वैक इदराजा जगतो बभूव य ईशे अस्य द्विपदश्चतुष्पदः कस्मै देवाय हविषा विधेम ॐ येन द्यौरुग्र पृथिवी च दृढा येन स्वाष्टभितन् येन नाकः यो अन्तरिक्षे रजसो विमानः कस्मै देवाय हविषा विधेम ॐ प्रजापते न त्वदेतान्यन्यो विश्वा जातानि परिता बभूव यत्काम आस्ते जुहुमस्तनो अस्तु वयं स्याम पतयोरयिना ॐ सनो बन्धुर्जनिता सविधाता धामानि वेद भुवनानि विश्व यत्र देवा अमृतम् आनशानास्तृतीये धामन् अध्यैरयन्त ॐ अग्नेनय सुपथारा ये अस्मान् विश्वानि देव वयुनानि विद्वान् यो योऽद्यस्मज्जुहुराणम् एनो भूयिष्ठान्ते नम उक्तिं विधेम ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. I will now invite Swami Vedanand Saraswati to pay his tribute. Swamiji.
My Prem Namaste to each and every one of you. I would like to begin by reciting a mantra that Swamiji treasured with all his heart. The closing mantras in the ritual, which with every speech, Swamiji would always recite. Om Sankachadhvam Samvadhadhvam Samvo Mananse Janatam Deva Bhagam Yatha Purve Sanjanana Upasate Samano Mantra Samiti Samani Samana Manah Sahachittamesham Samanam Mantram Avimantrayeva Samane Navo Havisha Juhomi. It is indeed with a heavy heart that we bid farewell to Swami Agnivesh. Besides the very personal bond that I shared with him, as many of you did, there was a special relationship that developed between him and the Arya Samaj family in South Africa. He leaves with us treasured memories of an active engagement in the struggle for human rights in South Africa, which he inspired in all of us. On Thursday, a day before his passing, we came together as one united family to light a diya for the health and recovery of Pujya Swamiji. 24 hours later, he ascended to the source of that light, Paramatma. On his very first trip, he saw a new dimension to the struggle of the bonded laborer, a cause so dear to his heart. He saw in the Girmitya diaspora in South Africa, Mauritius, Trinidad, Fiji, and Suriname, descendants of bonded laborers, and realized how deep-rooted in the history of India was the plight and fight for the rights of the oppressed and the global consequences of such social injustice. He made it a point to visit a rural African village, and we watched him play and dance with the village folk and their children. In the midst of their sufferings, they were able to celebrate life, and Swamiji was delighted to be a part of that simple happiness and joy. Swamiji, in his 81 years of life, lived as he believed and as he preached, a life of truth, compassion, social justice, and righteousness, all in accordance with the teachings he held deep in his heart, the Vedas, through his greatest inspiration, Swami Dayanand Saraswati. He dedicated his life to the service of the people and uplifting the lives of the poorest of the poor. In our subsequent trips to India, we witnessed for ourselves women, men, and children working in the quarries, digging, breaking, and loading stones, a humanity reduced to and treated as beasts of burden. We had the unforgettable, heart-wrenching experience of interacting with children rescued from child labor by the Bandhua Mukti Moksha activists. We cried to see the frail bodies of these tender children, aged with suffering and bearing scars of burns inflicted through the prodding of heated iron rods as punishment. They were from Bihar, and being a descendant of indentured laborers from Bihar, we listened to their exploits, or rather exploitation, and relived their human tragedy through the trials and tribulations of our forebears. We have enjoyed the esteemed presence of Swamiji at our major events and the International Vedic Conference in South Africa. In his trips, he did interviews on radio and television and even visited the South African Parliament, where he met with senior government officials. He was a mighty giant amongst men, who was fearless and vocal in fighting for the rights and dignity of all, a true human and a true Hindu, whom in the face of all adversity stood tall and fought hard, not being deterred or intimidated by anyone. He lived the definition of Arya. He was in every essence Agnivesh. He was internationally renowned and was the recipient of numerous international awards, including the Right Livelihood Award. But yet, through all this, he was the humblest, most loving, jovial, and simplest man, who walked and worked tirelessly behind the scenes. He walked the talk, not talked the talk. He would rather sleep on the floor in the home of a beggar than on a king's bed in the room of a palace. A role model whom I have known since I was 7 years old, and because of whom I've taken this path today. A warrior who has shaped my life personally to serve the cause of his people. His life was his message, and our motivation to stand for truth and justice, even if it means standing against our friends and colleagues in the name of truth. He always said, never compromise on truth. I will never forget his most vibrant message to me. Always ensure the freedom to doubt, the freedom to debate, and if necessary, the freedom to dissent. In many of his greatest speeches, he would always pose the following questions. He said, and I quote, "Are you against violence? Are you a non-violent person? Then what are you wearing? Clothes made by slaves? Are you a non-violent person? then what are you speaking to yourself? Is it kindness? Are you against homelessness? Then why are your homes full of empty rooms? This wisdom has never left me. One day we will look back to realize that we have walked this earth with a saint, a true angel of God who stood for the masses, who was the protector of the poorest of the poor, whose humble image will hang in the hall of legends, and whose story will one day be quoted by future governments and world leaders as one which lays the foundation to a world living as one united family, liberated from the shackles of slavery, violence, corruption, discrimination, and hatred. He was the epitome of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Let us continue Swamiji's mission and together ensure that his legacy continues and grows from strength to strength. I believe that Swamiji would want no moksha. He would want to be born again immediately and grow with renewed strength to resume the task that he believed is far from completion. On behalf of the officials and members of the Arya Samaj South Africa and all its affiliates, I extend my deepest condolences to Swamiji's family, his colleagues, and all those whose lives he has touched. Go well, Swamiji. We affirm our commitment to do our best in emulating the example that you have set, and always pray for your blessings, guidance, and inspiration. I would like to play for you a 2-minute clip, a tribute that we have made to Swamiji and his final message to us all.
I think this is the central message of the Vedas. Intrasya chakshusa sarvani bhutani samikshanta. Look at the entire creation with the eye of your friend. And consider, think of this mother earth as your mother, and you as the child of this beautiful planet Earth. I think the messages are there. Only challenge is how to bring them about, how to translate them into action, into reality, into a system of social economic justice through governance. Unless and until we address this crucial question of governance, we will not be able to realize the dreams of the Vedas, the vision of the Vedas. In order to realize the Vedic vision, we need to participate and partake of the politics with values, with truth, love, compassion, and justice as our sublime values. No way we can be corrupt. No way we can allow corruption to dominate and destroy the lives of our people. All resources, physical and all natural resources, belong to all of us equally. And that equity and justice in terms of economic development should be the guiding principle. Just not growth, just not creating more money, more capital, more of this, but more of distributed justice. That should be applied. Shri Hari Om, Shri Hari Om, Hari Om.
Namaste and thank you.
Thank you, Swamiji, for a very moving tribute. And thank you especially for sharing your personal experiences with Swamiji. As you wish, and as so many of us wish, that his legacy may never die. Let us all work and strive towards being what Swamiji wants us to be. We have with us Sam Bhai, accompanied by Vishen Bhai Kemraj, who will render 2 bhajans. To my right, Sam, hi, 2 bhajans.
One bhajan and one dedication.
Thank you. Hand you over now.
Namaste to everybody.
Namaste.
I've had the opportunity to meet Swamiji on a number of occasions when he visited South Africa. And many a time he actually complimented me on my singing certain bhajans. And he always told me that you must be able to change certain lyrics in a song, whereby changing the meaning of the song, that the song becomes meaningful. He's going to be missed by a lot of people in South Africa and abroad. And for those people that he touched their lives, I dedicate this bhajan and this dedication to him. May his soul have eternal peace. Hey Prabhu, hey Prabhu, hey Prabhu, hey Prabhu. जब जब मैंने ठोकर खाई, जब जब मैंने ठोकर खाई, तुमने काम लिया। सुख में हर पल मैंने तुम्हारे नाम लिया। प्रभु साथी संगी This song has been sung by Jagjit Ji, and I'd like to dedicate this song here. Dedicated to Swami.
Thank you, Sam Bhai, and thank you, Vishen Bhai, for that beautiful rendition. You certainly brought tears, I know, to a lot of people's eyes because your second bhajan is really heartrending. Okay, thank you so much. My dear brothers and sisters, I'm now going to hand you over to Dr. Rambilas, who will lead us into the Antyeshti Pratana, followed by the Shanti Path. Dr. G.
Namaste. There have been many special moments that I've shared with Swamiji. He lived at my place when he came to South Africa. And when I was in India, I also lived at his flat and would spend many, many hours going into the late hours of the night, talking about generally the struggles of life, and he would share his conflicts, inner and outer. And I'll always cherish and treasure those moments I spent with Swamiji. Tvamadideva Purusha Puranas Tvamasya Veshwasya Param Nidhanam Vetasi Vedyancha Parancha Dhama Tvaya Tatam Veshwamanantarupa Vasansi Jirnani Yatha Vihaya Navani Granati Naroparani Tatha Sharirani Vihaya Jirnani Anya Sanyati Navani Dehi Najayate Mreyate Va Kadachin Nayam Bhutva Bhavitavan Bhuya Ajo Nitya Shashvatoyam Purano Nahanyate Hanyamane Sharire Nainam Chindante Shastrani Nainam Dahati Pavakaha Nachenam Klediyanti Apo Nashosheti Marutaha Avyaktadini Bhutani Vyaktamadhyani Bharata Avyaktanidhananyeva Tatra ka paridevana Om Vedahametam Purusham Mahantam Adityavarnam Tamasaha Parastat Tameva Viditvati Mrityumeti Nanya Pantha Vidyate Anaya Om दिव्यं चक्षुर्गच्छतु वातमात्मा ध्याञ्च गच्छ पृथिवीं च धर्मणा अपोवागच्छ यदि तत्र ते हितमौषधीषु प्रतिष्ठा शरीरैः ॐ वायुरनिलम् अमृतम् अथेदम् भस्मान्तं शरीरम् ॐ क्रतो स्मर क्लीबे स्मर कृतं स्मर ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय ॐ द्यौशान्तिरन्तरिक्षं शान्ति पृथिवी शान्तराप शान्तिरोषधया शान्तिः वनस्पतयः शान्तिर्विश्वे देवाः शान्तिर्ब्रह्म शान्तिः सर्वं शान्तिः शान्तिरेव शान्ति सामा शान्तिरेधि ॐ शान्ति 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 ॐ नमस्ते
Namaste, Dr. G. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, before we close, I would like to thank everyone who's worked so quickly to put this program together, especially to Lekha and Swamiji, to Sambhai and Vishenbhai, and to Dr. Rambilasji. I would also like to remind you that tomorrow morning's Havan, our Zoom Havan at 9 o'clock by Pandit Kiran Sadhguru, is dedicated to the memory of Swami Agnivesh. So please let us all join the Havan tomorrow morning. And we have a few messages that have to be read out quickly. I think we have time for that. From Brij Maharaj to everyone. Namaste, Swami Vedanandji and friends. Swami Agnivesh fought for justice, righteousness, and human rights and spoke truth to power. Sadly, his illness was related to injuries after being assaulted by political thugs and hooligans. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And there were other messages, but it was about the sound and the volume. I want to just say thank you once again. Swamiji and Dr. Rambilas, do you have any closing remarks before we close?
Well, I just want to say that through all the troubles that Swamiji went in his life, his life was full of controversy. And there's a beautiful song taken from the film Raja Harishchandra Taramati. It says, Jagat bhar ki roshni ke liye, सूरज रे जलते रहना, करोड़ों लोग पृथ्वी के भटक रहे, करोड़ों आंगनों में है अंधेरा, हरि जब तक न हो घर घर में उजियाला, समझ लो काम है तेरा अधूरा. Swamiji, when we talk of wearing the saffron garb, you are that. You are the Surya and the Agni that burns and burns, pratikshan nirantar, every moment of your life is that fire of sacrifice. And that is what that garb resembles. He walked through this fire. It says every Swami is like that fire. It is Angar. And when that Angar, when you are burning in that fire of sacrifice, you bring light and joy to the people. And no matter how much the sun shines, Nirantar, for every moment of its existence, the sun shines and shines. But yet that light doesn't reach every home and every angan. Har ghar mein jab tak ujyala na ho. And he says, hey Suraj, jab tak har angan mein, har ghar mein ujyala na ho, tab tak samajh le kaam tera adhura hai. Oh son, even your work is incomplete until every yard, every courtyard, and every home doesn't burn bright with that light of yours. So Swamiji's life was this constant controversy, constant fighting for justice, that angar that kept on burning so that he could bring light and joy to everybody that he met, and for those downtrodden and oppressed, that he could try and bring some joy and some happiness and peace into their lives, is what I'd like to say, as how I understood Swamiji and his work.
Thank you, Dr. G. That was so profound. I would love to hear that song that you spoke about.
I don't know if I know all the words, but I'll just try a line or two. I'm not a singer, so. जगत भर की रोशनी के लिए करोड़ों की जिंदगी के लिए सूरज रे जलते रहना सूरज रे जलते रहना करोड़ों लोग पृथ्वी के भटकते हैं करोड़ों आंगनों में है अंधेरा हरि जब तक न हो घर घर में उजियाला समझ ले है अधूरा काम तेरा लिखा है ये ही तेरे भाग में कि तेरा जीवन रहे आग में सूरज रे जलते रहना सूरज रे जलते रहना.
Thank you, Dr. G. That was beautiful. Really lovely words. And, I hope everyone understood it. Thank you so much. Swamiji, would you like to say something? I think that someone is trying to reach us from an iPhone. There's no name to it. If you're still on and you'd like to come through, please unmute yourself. Okay, Swamiji, over to you.
Aarti Ben, this really, Dr. G has summed it up so beautifully that there's not much that one can add to that, because that defines Swamiji's life. But I think the only thing I can close off in saying is that Agni, that light, will never dim. It will always remain burning through all of us in ensuring that we continue that mission which he always claimed is not yet fulfilled. And even though his mortal frame and his Atman may have passed, we continue to be that legacy, and we ensure that that fire, that truth, that essence in fighting for true social justice and living the message of the Vedas continues with every breath that we take. Thank you.
Thank you, Swamiji. And thank you, Dr. G. And thank you, everyone else for coming in and joining us this morning. Please remember that our Havan tomorrow is in dedication of Swami Agnivesh. Please join us for the Havan and join us and listen to the sermon that's going to be given by Pandit Jyoti Nardev Desai. Thank you and namaste.
Namaste. Sorry, everybody. Swamiji, Dr. Ramvilas, I'd just like to say a big thank you to Pandita Aarti for a beautiful program that you put together today. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhaiji. Thank you.